Hello everyone, this is ESAT Insight from Addis Ababa ESAT studio. This is Metasebia Katsela. Today I have Obang Metho, Executive Director of Solidarity Movement for a New Ethiopia, shortly SMNE. He's been the voice for Ethiopians for many years and now back in Ethiopia. We'll have some time with him. Stay with us. Thank you, Obang, for coming.
You're very welcome.
Well, like I said, you've been the voice for Ethiopians. Now, everybody knows that among Ethiopian community. And you've been everywhere in Canada, America, or Australia, Europe. You've been everywhere lobbying against the human rights abuse during TPLF. And you weren't allowed to be in your country here, in homeland country. And now you managed to come home. So now things are getting a bit difficult in the country. We have a war with TPLF, the last 27 years, it's always been a war in a different form. Now it's a very clear war. Now they're killing so many people being displaced and abused and all sorts of things. I mean, I assume you come back home to do lots of service for your community, and we're at war. How are you feeling? How are you seeing all these things?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me and being here. As you say that, the feeling is a feeling of sadness, stress, and almost I would say that hopelessness in a way. Because, as you put it, that I've been working as human rights defenders almost for 18 years. And then it was, the right of a human being, and especially the right of the Ethiopian peoples, not an ethnic group or religious groups, but for the whole Ethiopian. And back then my work was to protect and defend every Ethiopian life, because every life is precious. And it was that really pushed me to do this work. Because for me, was our people has been known and dying with so many things. We're known for the starvation, we're known for many things. But my initial thought was that not to have anybody die, because of somebody else, did something on them. And then, so not only as you put it, that I was abroad. One of the things that maybe those people who don't know was that I left the country as a young man, went in the West, and lived in Canada. And then I came back home trying to see if I can make a difference. And then in 2003, there were a massacre in Gambela, where the 424 Anuak from one ethnic groups, where my family come from, were killed on a day light. And then that killing was, Gambela is about 100,000 people population, the town, the 100,000 peoples. People who were killed were, who died that time from one ethnic groups. They would die under the watch of the TPLFs. It was the TPLF, that security force, that killed the people. And then that time, I was living my quiet life in the West. But when people send me the list of the people who died, I'll never forget that someone said that, see the attachment for the list of the people who were killed. And I heard of that about almost 424, at least 300 and something, 317, I know them. It's like someone sending you a list of the people who are in the church members. And then when you know, it's not the names. When somebody sends you, give you a list and say that Obang Metho name, you're not seeing the Obang Metho name, you are seeing this image.
Yes.
That the Obang you know. So it had an impact on me. And I think that when I really get involved in the human rights. Back then I made a oath to myself that had I been in Gambela at that time, I would be on those lists. The people who were killed, 424 Anuak, most of them were men, people who know their they know their right, who were defending, but not a group who went to the bush and fighting. They were killed in front of their family in the house and all of this. All their names, as I say, that Obang, Ujulu, Matu, Kelu, Chala. So I could be one of those people. The only reason why I was not there, because I was not in Gambela at the time of the massacre. So that really gave me the responsibility to say that I need to seek justice for these people. And That was the beginning of my journey.
Yes,
and then by that time, what I tried to do was, by then I made a oath. I survive for a reason, and I have a responsibility to save lives. And then I made it that, I don't want any others, individuals, any Ethiopians, individual or Ethiopian ethnic groups or Ethiopian members to get a list, say they see the attachment of the people who were killed. That was my goal. And that was when we formed an organization first for the Anuak and realized that the Anuak will not be free. The Gambela will never get justice until the rest of Ethiopians get justice. So we left that and created this organization, Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia. The principle of it was, to have an Ethiopia where we are valued as a human being, not as ethnic group or not as a skin color or religious. And then also realizing that by being a human being, no one Ethiopian group or one tribe or one group will be free until all our Ethiopians are free. So it was based on that I went from this little corner of Ethiopia in the Gambela region for the Anuak and then to the rest of Ethiopian. And then my vision, what I was hoping was an Ethiopia where we see each other as a family, an Ethiopia where our diversity become the garden that really with the different flowers. But now, how do I feel, as you said it? I'm seeing this garden being destroyed in front of my eye, not because of the outsiders, but because the toxic tribal politics, which was introduced by the TPLF themselves. So what I've been telling the Ethiopian, we should not get there. We have gotten there. And it's just that's why I feel that I feel despair, I feel hurt, feel disappointed. But again, this is something that, the chapter, a new beginning chapters. What will happen next, I don't know.
Well, okay, just talking about your campaigns against TPLF or being the voice for Ethiopians everywhere else, in America and in Europe and Australia, like I said before, you've knocked so many doors and you've gone out.
I've been in the U.S. Congress, at the European Unions and the United Nations, and most of I work with some of the most institutions and most of the Western countries. As I said, the Canadian government and the European Parliament, the UK, and the European Union. Some of these groups that I went there, the U.S. Congress, I testified not once and twice, and the Senate. So yeah, I did, was there. And when I was there, I was telling these people exactly what I was telling them, that I was not against any ethnic groups, but I am against an ethnic thinking tribal because it can destroy you from within. I was telling these Western, which they know, because the TPLF was a group of people who were anti-Ethiopia, went to the bush to say that they want to liberate themselves from Ethiopia. And when they did that, the beginning of their destruction was not people that they killed in Gambela, which is a couple of thousand kilometers away from them. They did it by killing their own fellow Tigrayan who disagreed with their opinion. And then from that on, then they used the bearer of the gun to get the power. Even the Western, the American themselves, put them as a terrorist group.
Yeah, but despite the fact that they put them, they labeled them as terrorists, or you testified about what they did in Ethiopia, or you campaigned against TPLF killings or human rights abuse, but the West haven't done much then. But they seem to be very protective of them now. That's what people are saying. Have they done anything based on your campaign, or all Ethiopians, demonstrating outside, their offices in the past?
Because when you look at it, as I say, that the TPLF, it's almost 40 years since it was formed. And then the U.S. put them as a terrorist list. They took power in 1991. And when they took power in 1991, it was the U.S. government that put them in power. The U.S. State Department, there's a gentleman called Herman Cohen by that time, based on their belief that Ethiopian will kill each other, they went and had a meeting in London and then say that, hold on, don't march to Addis until the American gave them the green light. And then they give the Mullahs a green light and they walk into Addis. By that time, Ethiopian was not infected with ethnic hatred. Ethiopian who had guns by then, they put the gun down, not using it to kill their fellow Ethiopian, because they were trained as an Ethiopian soldier, not as a tribe soldiers. So by that time, then American started their relationship with the TPLF for the last 27 years. The relationship they had is not just a relationship alone. It became more like a family. Then also that when the Osama bin Laden attack 9/11, the Americans did not want to send their troops and die like the way they did in Somalia. So what happened was they, allied with the TPLFs, and then, they came, they had a base here. Ethiopia was used as a place there where they will try to, even when they were fighting with Al-Shabaab, it was the Ethiopian troops that was. So the TPLF played, a role, a group that be ordered to do whatever they. So the relationship is there. So when we come and talk about this now, saying that why Ethiopia now, the U.S. is that, because the U.S. had an interest. And also one thing people don't realize that for the last 27 years, the group who were running Ethiopia was the TPLF. They established a relationship. Not only a diplomatic relationship, a relationship. And those people, it become more like a family. They don't want to let that go. So when the TPLF, really lost power, it's not only the TPLF lost power. Their friends, their, alliance, their groups, that one lost power. And also what make it, which most of the Western don't understand, was the TPLF was a group of people, a tiny group of people who went to the bush to liberate their regions. And when the government lost, then they lost that. They didn't want to use that principles, so they went and took over the country. And they introduced what I call institutionalized tribalism, what they call ethnic federalism, where in Ethiopian has three identity. In every constitution in the world, we have a constitution, we the people of Canada, we the people of UK, we the people of America. In Ethiopia is only one of the few countries say that we, the nation nationality, people groups. Yeah. And this constitution was done as a way to divide the Ethiopians so they would not unite against them. And this system was done that and injected in the Ethiopian psyche and the younger people to say that we are not a one citizen of the countries. We are a whole bunch of tribes living together. So with this system that they have done, they set up their constitution. Their constitution is like a prenup agreement. In the West, the people who are wealthy, when they want to marry someone, you go and say that you are a poor person. When we divorce, you go with nothing. So the TPLF come and create prenup constitution, which meaning that this constitution of Ethiopia, as long as the TPLF is in power, is okay. If the TPLF is not there, they can secede and they put in Article 39. And so this is exactly what happened. So when the government collapsed in 2018 and Abiy took over, because of the prenup agreement they had, all of them, they packed their bag and went to Mekelle, to their regions. So this was intentionally from the beginning. So this is not something the Western don't know. The Western and other groups know about this. So for us to kind of think that, well, they don't know about this. These are relationships that go so deep into that. But this ethnic federalism is not only anti-peace, anti-democracy, it's anti-humanity. Make you not to work and live together with others. So this is a system that it is anti the founding father principle of America. The American principle is, in harmony, where you can find all human beings from every part of the world. But the same system, which is really will not work in Washington, D.C. The Americans are funding them, bankrolling them, giving the TPLF whatever they want, and now, this is what we are repeating again.
Yes. I mean, people are saying that the Americans and some of the other countries are trying to do what they just did in 1991. I mean, Feldman said the other day, that this is not 1991. We're not going to do that. But people are feeling that they are trying to form a government for Ethiopia again at this time. Do you think they're doing that?
Well, they can do whatever they want to do. But it's Ethiopia and Ethiopia. Ethiopia is another country by itself. Someone may say that Ethiopia is as poor as the countries, but it's not as poor as it with dignity.
But because they've done it in 1991, do they think they will still do it?
They may try to do that. The answer is the Ethiopian. It was the Ethiopian at that time that who really allow, when Mengistu Lemariam went and Herman Cohen went and make a deal in London and make mullahs to say they come to Ethiopia, this reason they use was that there's not a capable Ethiopian institution that can run the country, can maintain the rule of law. That was the reason that they used, the excuse to use that, and thinking that they are coming to march to save Ethiopia. At the end of the day, who will save Ethiopian is not American, the Ethiopian who live in Ethiopia.
Well, that's what people are saying. But something kept coming to my head. When did America start, sorting out other countries? I mean, we don't involve in American politics.
Well,
why? Is it because we're African and they don't think we can manage?
Not that. And I think that is the geopolitical world that we live in today now. We live in a world today.
But the Americans do not involve in the British or United Kingdom's politics, or, the
because
Germans. Why Ethiopia?
It comes to that, of the weaker you are, like if you are weak and weak in terms of, political institution, weak up, really you don't put your agenda together. For me, for American to get to where it is, we are the one to be blamed. We, the Ethiopians themselves, as they are saying that, when you point a finger at someone, it's three that come to you, one to that person. So for American to do this and come to this, we have to be blamed. Did we have a common cabinet, a stronger institution that make us to keep us together as Ethiopian? No, it's not. Had we stood together, we have historically Ethiopia. And we can go back. The Hadwa War was not a victory of one group. It's a victory of humanity, a victory of dignity, a victory of unity, not a victory of, but now we have a group of a tribe where we don't put our act together. As a result, you have these people coming in. There's many countries don't want Ethiopian to use the resource they have. For example, the Nile. The source of the Nile is in Ethiopia. The Egyptians, Ethiopian neighbors say that we don't want to share. And they wanted to have the same colonial treaty into 21st century. So all these things for us, before we say that America, we had the problem in a way that we did not solve our problem, because we have this where our politicians, some of our people, the genuinity, we lost that. And then so, like the way the TPLF system has said it, they pretend to be a nationalist. They pretend to be an Ethiopian. The same Ethiopia where in a way that their main goal was not to maintain and protect the integrity of Ethiopia, but to maintain their tribe and their agenda, their hegemony, which did not work. So you allow your door open for this group to come in. So for us, when we talk about this, our focus more, not really the Western. The Western are there and they have their own agendas. For me, in the last 10 years or 15 years, we have so many countries become failed states. Like you can, Syria, Yemen, the Libya, which is Libya at one time was the much more better countries. They failed not because of only the West alone. They failed because of the nation of those countries failed to see a common vision. By failing to have a common vision, you can allow these people to come in, like the Western media saying, coming that, Addis Ababa will be taking over tomorrow, or, they are up the hill to come into all of these things. So all of these things, again, it come back to Ethiopian. So as you put it earlier, that why they don't do it to UK, why they don't do it to, other countries, because there's just a thing that when you are strong, people will not push you, will not bully you. But when you are not strong in terms of money, and this will be pushed around. But Ethiopia need to come to that. We don't have to go to somebody else. I used to say that when I was, lobby at the U.S. Congress, I'm not asking you guys to free us. I'm just asking you not to be a roadblock. We can free ourselves. The same thing. So this is the thing that what Ethiopians need to know now at this time, at this critical time. The one who are dying on that side, the one who are dying in this side is Ethiopian. We are intermarried. We live together for a long time. It is a few group of narrow-minded politicians that make us not to see the pain of our brother dying in that. The one dying in here, the one on dying in this place, the one being displaced, they are us. They are not an American. They are Ethiopian. They are our family members. They are our brothers and sisters. Even if someone say they are different ethnic groups, no. They are beyond that. They are human beings, and they are Ethiopian. They are our family. So who should care about it more? It's not this someone sitting in Washington who don't even know the location of where it is, never know never heard the word kombucha, or never heard the lalibala or somewhere, thinking and acting like they care more about Ethiopian. So this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I'm wanting to kind of hold us back from idea of kind of putting the blame.
So it's up to the Ethiopians to get stronger.
Organized,
and get respected.
Ethiopian to come up with a common vision, No, this is a backward, primitive thinking of tribalism. And for Ethiopian to be genuine, what you say has to be what you believe in, not what you say because to play a game over other Ethiopian. We should not bankrupt our children by playing this dirty politics of ethnicities and thinking that my turn to eat. A country is not a water well that you take a jerrycan, wait for fill your water to go out. A country is something for all of us. So we have to work and create it. And as Ethiopian, an institution, a group of people are thinking and saying that 115 million people is so powerful groups. 115 million those are a power. Exactly. We fail to use that. We fail to utilize that power because of this little narrow thing that the politician that or these ethnic group that we have. So that's why I say that when we look into this, the American or the Western, whoever are doing this, they are doing this because they've seen our weakness. They are doing this because they know that we are not really in organizing, planning ourselves in bits. So they cannot do this to China. Why? They cannot do it to the other country. But for us as a country, and when I was living in the West and this thing, I used to think that Ethiopia is poor. But when I come here, we are one of the most richest countries in terms of we have plenty of water, yes. Lush land, human being, but we never fail to do that because also that we have these fake politicians who just want to preach what they want people to hear. But people don't want to hear, people want to show it. Tell the people, don't tell the people, show it to the people. So this is the thing that where you see like Agua, the UN, they are using it and saying that, we will not do this, we will not do this. Because when you are not really capable of organizing, putting your act together, then you live according to the rule of others, not yours.
Absolutely. Many people seem to believe that the Westerns are trying to use aid as a weapon for modern colonization.
They have been used for a long time, not trying to use.
I mean, I can see the speech or the terrorizing warning letters saying, medicine and food and all sort of things, being isolated, Ethiopia being isolated from the world.
No, it's not, you saying that they've been trying to use. Not been trying to use, they've been used for a long time. So when you make your life depend on other persons, then you are vulnerable. You could be, because your livelihood depend on that. You cannot do that. And so for them, they can say that because they know that. But again, as I told you, there's no lack of, we live in Addis Ababa where it will rain 10 times a day and we don't have food to eat. And in Arab country, in some Dubai, it rain one day a year. So it is just this idea of trying to defend on them because we allow it. It comes back to us. The foundation that what I was, when I talk about, when we create this organization, the foundation is to create an Ethiopia where we are valued by our humanity. Humanity is the key, not ethnicity. And then everyone within Ethiopia is in Ethiopian. Yes, have we killed each other? Yes. Have we had a problem before? Yes. Have we had injustice before? The past is the past. But let's create a brighter future, not for a tribe, but for every life that been born in this country. The life of Ethiopian people. So in that case, the threat is real. We are seeing it. Whatever they want to do is real because they've seen the weakness. But again, we should not forget our mighty 110 million people. 110 millions, is a power. And then also that, don't forget, we have many Ethiopians who live abroad, who are educated and have the most, advanced knowledge and education. Those Ethiopians could come back to utilize. But again, to come back to where? You have to have a better system, a welcoming system, not a tribal system. Then all of these things come back to that with us and Ethiopian. So these groups can bully us because we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. These people can intimidate us. These people can do whatever they can, even to give us, to create the kind of government that they want or to create the country that they want, not the country that we want.
There are lots of voices out there against Ethiopian and Ethiopian government. But there hasn't been much voice for Ethiopian people who've been displaced, attacked and killed by TPLF. And whereas there are, again, voices for TPLF terrorist groups out there. Do you think we haven't, as an Ethiopian, we haven't put our truths out there?
Definitely, don't forget. The TPLF run the countries for 27 years. they have connection. They have relationship with these governments. And those people are still there. When the TPLF ran away from Addis to Mekele, from Mekele to the mountains, the one there, their connection, relationship did not run away from Washington, from London, from Singapore, from wherever, they're still there. So their relationship, their friends are still there. So when you speak about this, they also that the media, the connection they had is still there. So what do the other Ethiopians have? Or if you look at it, the government has that. Again, come back to being organized, come back to be planned, strategize, and put the right thing in place. So yes, the vacuum, there's a vacuum. And the TPLF have the money. They run the countries. And then they have the lobby. They know who to contact, what to do, this kind of thing, where the other people don't. But I think that Ethiopia are trying to kind of catch up. To be, even in coming to that, Ethiopia are not united. We have a whole bunch of tribes who are pulling us back. Who say that they are not an Ethiopian when they are born an Ethiopian, like someone saying that she's not my mother when she come from that. We have Ethiopians who really hold back to the grievances of 100 years ago, where they don't want to talk about the death of today. We have an Ethiopian who are really, so these things allow us, to be a victim in a way. It allows us to be a victim of our own self. So as you put it that, why now we have no voice and abroad and all of these things. Yes, as I say, the connection of those people are there, and we are not organized in a way, but you could see some, some impact. I was talking to some people that there was an election in Virginia last week, and Ethiopian, mobilized, and then the Republican was elected. For sure. For that guy to be elected, Ethiopian Eritrean play a role to have that. Then maybe one of the things that the Democrats are pissed off. But again, that show your power when you are organized, stand together as a group, not as a tribe, as a as a citizen, as a nation. You can make an impact. So within that, and also that another thing, which is part of again our problem. 100 million people, 110 million. There's so many Ethiopians that, we need to have a channels in a language that those people can understand. How many, television stations where people discuss in English, one-to-one with the direction of Ethiopia. We have our own language, which we are proud of it. The Amharic, we are the only country and the only black nation in this world that they have their own script. And not only scriptures, a beautiful script. We have our own letters. We have our own calendars. We have so many things that make us to be unique. And we have, lived and we had won victories. But when we win those victories, we win it as a nation, not as a tribe. And so when you have this system that we have as a people, our language is good for us. But we should have a television station. Even with Ethiopian, we have Ethiopians who speak Chinese very articulate, yes, to communicate with the Chinese, to debate about where the Ethiopia. We are a global world. We cannot shut the door and not communicate and deal with those countries. We have to deal with them in a language that in every part of the world today, the many countries we have been over 190 countries in the world, there's an Ethiopian in every one of those countries. There's Ethiopians who are intermarried, they live there, they have children there, they have citizens of those countries. But again, the failure of our system in the country and outside, we should be having an Ethiopian, a diplomat, who are articulate, who can present our case. When something wrong is being done, they say, no, this is not who we are. But we don't have that kind of articulate representation. So we need peoples who can speak, if it is in Arabic, to the Arab, in English, in French, in the Chinese, in whatever that language that is. But we don't have that. So when you say that we don't have a voice, we don't have a voice because of us. We didn't do it. Had we done it, then we would be able to have the voice to do it. And looking at the TPLF is a few group of peoples. You are dealing with a few group of people with the countries. You are dealing over 100 million peoples. And just a few group that who are not even can not reach, 5 million. So when you see that again, it comes back to the failures. The failure of imagination, a failure of a vision, a failure of thinking big, doing it big. So the idea of this group, whether like fake the media like CNN and all of these groups doing this thing, there should be people who should counter that. This is absolutely wrong. And the way to do it, not by emotion. You just present the truth. And that truth, you don't need to sophisticated, show it. They say that the TPLF is outskirt of Addis. Just show it, go outskirt of Addis, look at it. Does it look like it? There's in Ethiopia that from when being on the street, people are living their normal life. This is what you're talking about. Show them that their responsibility, immorality, and also that this idea that where they're giving people an anxiety, they're saying that pack your bag, go to the airport. Ethiopia is going to be Ethiopians are living like this. And there's this thing that even at the airport. The other day, you see all the television stations, Al Jazeera, BBC, CNN, they have the program reporting about Ethiopia. The Ethiopia they're reporting in the airport on those TV stations, the Ethiopia outside the airport is totally different. And these, again, the failures. Why do you allow this garbage junk to be put in here in your country? Change that bloody channel, do it to a better one if that could be. So do you see what I mean? The failure, I come back to that. The failure come back to us.
Yeah, okay, to look at ourselves. Well, Mr. Obang Meta, founder and executive director of Solidarity Movement for a New Ethiopia, you've been working for a long time in regards of human rights abuse in Ethiopia and still human rights activist. Thank you so much for coming to our studio.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have been watching ESAT Insight from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia studio. This is all we have for today. Next time we'll come out with something new. Meta Sabeh Kasala, I've been with you. See you next time.